The top 10 shootout has been run and won. Cam Waters is your 2020 Bathurst pole sitter. Today ended up being quite an uneventful day on and off track for a Saturday at Bathurst. Usually there's some drama, but it was all pretty quiet, other than a couple of incidents in Super 2. But the big news of the day, James Courtney and Boost have signed on with Tickford for 2021. The interesting thing here is that there's rumours that the licence that they're currently using is on its way to Brad Jones Racing, while the Blanchards are going elsewhere. Put two and two together and figure out where the licenses are travelling. But it does mean that currently Tickford, I suppose, have got 4 drivers with 3 seats, unless one of those drivers ends up at the licence that's coming Tickford's way, from what I'm hearing. But that's probably something to cover off in a week or so when I do a driver predictions for next year. The day started off with practice 6, which was a co-driver only session. Dale Wood went out in the Kelly Mustang and it was a bit smoky. Apparently they put a bit too much oil in it. Something to do with learning what the Ford engine's like. And car number 12, Fabian Coulthard with Tony D'Alberto at the wheel. They'd put in a new transaxle overnight and it failed pretty much straight away. The team turned it around really quickly though, bolted in a new transaxle, and Tony got out for a few laps at the end. I found that session was quite interesting, and I'm kind of spewing that we're not going to see one of those co-driver races at Sandown this year, because you always get a bit of a variation where some of the co-drivers are relatively faster than their teammates. Not to say they're actually faster, but we had David Russell in 5th position, which usually that car, if that hasn't got 20-something in qualifying, you can knock me over with a feather. And Moffat was in 4th, Randall 2nd, Luff 1st. Warren Luff, every year I write the bloke off and he surprises me at Bathurst. I keep thinking that he's getting too old. He's been out of it for too long. He wasn't impressive at all when he drove by, when he was a main game driver. And yeah, every year at Bathurst, he comes out, and at the end of the weekend, I'm kind of like, oh, Luffy did pretty good again this year, didn't he? So practice 7 was very uneventful. A sign of things to come with Cam Waters was fastest in that session again. We did have the Super 2 qualifying race. We did see Brock Feeney put it in the wall hard and trash that Falcon. Did not think that was going to be turned around in time for the race. And then Ange Mazuris absolutely destroyed his Commodore, and he definitely wasn't in the race. The Image Racing guys tried to get into each other, and Randall went on to win the race, and quite possibly now he is the champion for this year. Definitely would like to see him step up next year. As the merry-go-round of seats goes, I have heard there is something with those licenses moving around a bit that I was talking about earlier. I think there could be a seat somewhere there for him. On to the top 10 shootout and the rain that never came. So it was a straightforward shootout, and which I was really happy about, because I didn't want to see where you have 4 or 5 guys get to have a crack and then it starts raining, and then it's just basically the times get worse and worse. So we did get to see Neil Crompton's big have a proper crack at it. Only one person made a proper mistake, and that was Jamie Whincup, who slid off at the chase. And then really it only lost him kind of, a second or two. No one put it in the wall or anything. Everyone's had actually a really kind of straightforward run. I think, Scotty had his, tap of the wall. The Ojeda put the GRM car in the wall. Jordan Boys knocked the front off the BJR, Todd Hazelwood's car. I think they're really the only incidents. The 35, the Jacobson car had its engine change, and Coulthard had his transaxle problem. Other than that, it's been really straightforward for all the guys. It's going to be wet tomorrow. It's the last day of school. They don't have to get the cars to Gold Coast in 2 weeks. The cars are just going to be ready for whatever ends up being the first round next year. So there's plenty of time to prepare them. And I think we're going to see just a balls out run tomorrow, which is going to be quite interesting. Anyway, few guys made up big positions in the top 10. Nick Percat, who went out and did a 2:04.2 at the start of the session. I thought, whew, that's pretty quick. We're going to see a lot of threes in this session if the first guy out's laying down that marker. It wasn't to be the case in the end, and he jumped to 4th. Courtney stayed in 9th. Chaz dropped from 8th to 3rd with a 2:04 flat, basically. De Pasquale stayed in 7th. Then we had Coulthard, who dropped 2 spots up to 8th. Jamie, of course, went from 5th up to 10th with his little slide at the chase. Cam Waters from 4th to 1st. That was a brilliant lap, and he just seemed to get better and better as the lap went on. He had that small little... could you call it an error on a lap like that at the Dipper? That was pretty impressive to be that kind of gap to everyone in this day and age. Scott McLaughlin went from 3rd to 2nd, 2:04, even flatter than Mostert's 2:04 flat. He seemed quite disappointed to not be on pole for what's looking like he's going to be his final Supercars race for a while. Shane went from 2nd to 5th. Once again, he had a little bit of an overrun at the chase. Not as bad as Jamie's, but he definitely wasn't happy with his lap. And Lee Holdsworth, which just never really looked that quick, he ended up 6th. So great job by Cam Waters, and you've probably got the best co-driver in the field as well. So if it was going to be a dry race tomorrow, I would now put them in the box seat. Unfortunately, for prediction-wise, it's going to be a wet race. It's looking like it's going to be a wet race. So really, all bets are off. Anyone could do anything. I mean, there's Warren Luff has driven brilliantly in the wet before. Too bad Richie's not around. When you think of what Stanaway did in that monster Falcon a couple of years ago, he could have done spectacular things maybe if GRM had pulled him out of retirement to fill that second seat in the wild card. So this is the final chance to get your entries in to win that poster that I haven't got with me right now. But if you click on a few videos ago, you can see the video. All you have to do is tell me your top 3 down in the comments, or send me an email, supercarstalk@gmail.com, or even add me at Supercars Talk on Instagram and send me a private message on there. Once the race starts tomorrow, I'm not taking any more entries. That's the limit on there. And possibly if you're a last minute, if there's a tiebreaker, if someone's already the first person who put in the entry, they get the prize. Good chance to maybe put in a couple of, wild card guesses at the moment, because most of the good, I suppose, if it was a dry race, most of those kind of combinations are definitely gone. Now they're off the table. But a good chance, because it's going to be wet, to, maybe put in something different. David Russell's been driving really impressive. Maybe if they let him take the lead for the day, could see the Matt Stone car up the front somewhere. Who knows in a wet race like that? So really looking forward to tomorrow. Don't forget, the race now starts at 11 a.m, so definitely don't sleep in. who would sleep into that kind of time of day anyway? So anyway, until next time, I'll see you later.